So the camera we're talking about, obviously in the title, is the Nikon Z6 and Z7. But more specifically, not the camera itself, because everybody's talking about the camera and how bad it is. And you know, Nikon actually apologized for it, saying, sorry, we can't make enough to fulfill all the orders. Go figure. But really, do I really want to talk about the Nikon Z6 and Z7 and how everybody was trashing the single card slot? Is it worth it? Is it something that we need to have as a professional photographer? Well, that's what we're about to talk about today. So specifically for professionals, do you need dual card slot? Yes and no. Say what? Now I've learned my lesson the hard way, so I hope you don't too. Do you actually need two card slots? No, you don't. First of all, we need to figure out what exactly is a professional. Everyone seems to have an opinion on what a professional is, but it seems pretty clear in the dictionary. Basically, what it comes down to is a professional is your profession, meaning that is what you do as your profession to make money, to make a living. Therefore, a professional photographer means that your profession is photography and that you make a living off of photography. Now, this is not the caveman days where technology wasn't as advanced prior to today. So photographers are not dime a dozen, they're dime a trillion. Therefore, making a living purely off photography is very difficult. And it's even more difficult in places like, for example, Hawaii, where cost of living is very high, competition is high. So sometimes, or a lot of times, photography might be your profession, but it doesn't mean that it is your only source of income. In today's day and age, you may have two separate professions, one as a professional photographer and one as a professional something else, to supplement the money or the income so you can make a living. But just because you're making money off your photography, does that mean that you make quality images? Does that mean that you understand lighting? Does that mean that your images are going to be above average? Absolutely not. I have seen many professional photographers with less than average photos, and as long as they're making money off of it, they're considered professional. So just keep that in mind. Just because you're a professional photographer, and I'm not talking about everybody, doesn't mean that you're better and more knowledgeable than anybody else who is currently in photography. Doesn't matter what kind of photography you do, absolutely not. Macro photography, landscape, seascape photography, wedding, portrait, first birthdays, all sorts of different genres out there. Can you make money off of those? Absolutely. Does that mean that you're a professional photographer? There's one little key thing, a key element there, in my opinion. If you're making $5 here, $10 there, $500 a year, for example, I don't see that as being a professional photographer. Not necessarily the dollar amount, but more the consistency. If you're consistently making money off of your photography, then that is now your profession. And whether or not you use that profession or the income from that profession added to another profession is a different story. But as long as that is your profession and you're making consistent income, then in my opinion, that is what a professional photographer is. When I started using photography as a profession, meaning making consistent income, my first camera actually doing business with was the A58, and that camera had a single card slot. Did I know any better? I should have, but I didn't. One day I went to the North Shore side of the island. It was the most beautiful, beautiful sunset I have ever seen. I was so happy, so excited to go out there and shoot. I went over there, the waves were crashing against the rock. When you do seascape type of photography and you're trying to smooth out the water, all while the waves are crashing, and it's very dangerous. On that day, I come home so excited that I got the most beautiful pictures, and when I took the SD card out, put it in my computer, the SD card was dead. That's right, the SD card was dead. And this wasn't those cheapy SD cards. I mean, this was the standard SanDisk SD card. I was able to warranty these SD cards, so I got brand new ones from SanDisk. They're very good about their warranty, by the way. I lost all those images on that card. Am I going to spend $500 or $1,000 or $4,000 to get the data recovered? No guarantee. And even if they recover the data could be corrupt. How many times did these SD cards die on me? Twice. Twice it died. The second time it died, I was doing a family shoot. In the middle of the shoot, the card died. That was painful because all those shots in the beginning were gone. Luckily, I was able to tell the customer those were practice shots just to get them posing right, you know, getting the environment good. The shots that are important are the ones when the sun was actually setting. I always carry a spare SD card. I was able to edit the photos, make the sale, and yeah, that was the end of it. But that amount of risk, that many times, just 2 times, I've been shooting for about 10 years. 2 times those card dies. If I was shooting a wedding and the card died, guess what? I have a lawsuit on my hands. I can't tell the bride, oh, sorry, well, you know, the card died, so it's kind of like not my fault. It's in the contract. It's not my fault. As a professional, you need to have professional gear. And what professional gear means is not the top quality image producing camera. It's not. In fact, a lot of the professionals I know don't shoot with the high-end, Canon 5D Mark whatever, or the Sony A7R III or whatever. You got to remember, pictures are not pictures in your camera. It's actually data. And that data can get corrupt. The data can get lost if the disc dies. And so when I say professional gear, I don't mean high quality sensors. So long story short, it's going to cost you more to recover the data than you actually charge your client. Why go through that trouble? Why go through that headache? Now, if you have contingencies in place, meaning you understand the risks that there is a possibility, therefore a probability, that your SD card or any card would die in your camera, as long as you have some kind of contingency in place, meaning you told your customer, your client, hey, by the way, my SD card might die, so you may not get your pictures, and your clients are like, okay, fine, no problem, then you're okay. Then by all means, if you're okay and you're a professional and you're willing to take that risk, then by all means, use a camera with a single card slot. A lot of people online say that SD cards don't die. They go through the washing machine. They still survive. If you swap out your SD cards for a fresh one every 3 months, you'll be fine. If you put a 16 gig card in there, you're forced to swap out the card for another 16 gig because you'll run out of space, and therefore you have 2 cards. If you're fine with that, then that's fine. But let me tell you, if you miss the first part of anything because your SD card died, because you thought you were smart and you put a second one in there, or you missed the second session because one of those 2 cards died, guess what? The client paid you for the whole session, not half of it, okay? Second, SD cards die. They do. It may not have happened to you in the 20 years that you've been a professional, but let me tell you, it's only just going to be that one time. Me personally, because I've been involved with card failures before, just a lesson learned. I had to learn the hard way. I now use 2 card slots, and I'll never go back to a single card slot unless, of course, I'm okay with the risks. But in any case, this is just my humble opinion, and thank you very much for watching this video. Hit that like button if you liked it, and obviously hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos just like this or other videos that are photography related. And I hope to see you in the next one.